This is Todos Cafeteros, and today I'm looking back on the 2023 Copa Colombia final between Atlético Nacional and Millonarios. I'll spend some time explaining the format before we dive into the tournament and then the final games themselves. Unlike the league that has two competitions per year, the Copa Colombia only has one tournament played each calendar year. There are 36 teams that participate in this competition. Some already started in February, and the top teams of Primera A joined only in the fourth round, all of them trying to reach the final in November. That final has just been played, so I'm here to talk about it. Just again about the Copa itself, it's played in a knockout 1-against-1 scenario. Each match-up is played over two legs, a home and away game. The aggregated score of both games will count and the winner advances to the next round. In case there's a draw, it goes directly into penalties. There is no overtime. So the road for both teams to the final began in the fourth round, which is the round of 16 here. Both Millonarios and Atlético Nacional are among the top 12 teams of Primera A, so they started in the fourth round. Millonarios won against Bucaramanga 3-1 on aggregate before advancing to the quarterfinals, where they beat Alianza Petrolera 4-1 on aggregate. And at the semifinal stage, they beat Cúcuta 2-1 on aggregate. For Atlético Nacional, they won against América de Cali 5-2 on aggregate. In the quarterfinals against Águila Doradas 5-1 on aggregate before facing Deportivo Pereira in the semis, and they won those 2-1. In the final then, we have a rematch of last season's league final. Back in June, Millonarios won in penalties over two games against Nacional. I'll put a separate video up explaining the league format if you're not familiar with that once we get to the league final of the Clausura this season in December. But again, as I said, the Copa is played only once per year, but the Apertura season has already finished in June. So again, 2 seasons per year in the league. And that final was as well Millonarios against Nacional. Now also the same matchup in the Cup, La Copa, the final in 2 legs between Millonarios and Atlético Nacional. The first leg, a home game for Millonarios in Bogotá, with the home game on November 15th. Nacional scored the first goal, 1-0 in the 20th minute. It has to be one of the weirdest goals I've ever seen. Millonarios goalkeeper Juan Moreno absolutely miscalculated the trajectory of the ball bouncing. And so it's a goal by Dorian Pabon that he himself couldn't have hoped for going in, but Nacional is up 1-0. Then on the other side, Millonarios scored a goal in the 38th minute that would have tied the game, but VAR correctly called it back. Juan Pereira in offside position here. And so it's 0-1 at halftime. And then in the 63rd minute, Idiar Ocampo fouled Omar Bertel in the box. And after VAR review, Millonarios got a penalty awarded. But they made their calculations without Chippy. Halen Chippy Castillo saved Leonardo Castro's shot. The score remains 1-0. But then finally in the 80th minute, Millonarios were able to score. Leonardo Castro with a header into the short angle. Millonarios were back in those games, and so were the fans. And after 11 minutes extra time, the first leg ended 1-1, a tie. Nacional seemed to have been happy with that result. In the second half, they hardly did anything on offense. Millonarios moved their 4-2-3-1 into a 4-3-3 as they kept pushing forward. Nacional defended with everything they had and only committed a maximum of 4 players to their counterattacks. So we're looking at the second leg then in Medellin, Atlético Nacional with a home game on November 23rd. And it took until the second half, but Millonarios went up 1-0 in this game. A counterattack in the 58th minute, a beautiful run by Leonardo Castro to go up 1-0. So he scored in both games. And then it took Nacional until very late to tie the game. The 93rd minute, Palacios override passes the ball into the box, and Juan Felipe Aguirre scores to tie the game. Then in penalties, it was Edgar Guerra who missed for Millonarios, and it was Eric Ramirez who scored the last shot for Nacional. Nacional wins the Copa 2023 in penalty kicks just after Millonarios won the league in penalties against Nacional half a year earlier. Penalties sometimes are a coin flip. This time the coin flipped to Nacional, and with the win, Atlético Nacional is qualified for next year's Copa Libertadores 2024. Congratulations. This rivalry is taking on new dimensions. It was the league's final in June. It was the cup final in November, but it will not be the league's final again for the 2023 Clausura League final, as both teams are in the same group, Group B. And only the group winner advances to the final in the league. But more about that in a future episode of Todos Cafeteros. There's so much more to discuss when it comes to Colombian club soccer. So make sure to be subscribed and not to miss out. I say nos vemos until next time. Thank you for watching.